Today, Chris Barnett from KUAM and The Link, and joined here in the KUAM News Zoom room by Teresa Filepin from the FSM consulate. Good morning, Teresa.
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Doing pretty good, but not doing as good as those people on those two repatriation flights that have headed out
I know,
to
right? Yeah, the excitement and the emotions there since yesterday has been just tremendous. As you know, it's been well over a year that they've been waiting for this. Yeah. So it's
it all kind of seemed like it happened so quickly because just about a little under a month ago, we interviewed a bunch of people who were stranded on Guam and Hawaii and different areas, and they weren't able to return home because of COVID-19 and the pandemic. Maybe you could just kind of walk us back to the beginning of this process. So when did the COVID seriousness, I guess, in the FSM ramp down enough to begin the conversation about letting residents return home?
Well, the fact that the vaccine is being widely administered throughout the surrounding the region, especially here on Guam, because as you know, this is the main hub to the FSM. So the fact that Guam is up there in great numbers right now, vaccinating people, that was one of the big factors in the decision to finally start the repatriation process. As you may recall, sometime back in November 2020, we attempted a similar effort, but at the last minute, there were some loopholes here and there, and we really wanted an airtight program. So we canceled that. And then, the conversation hasn't been taken off the table ever since November last year. We've been working very closely with the National Task Force, and the national, which is comprised of the FSM government and as well as the states of the FSM have been, working diligently to put in place facilities and procedures, even medical personnel to be able to bring home some of our folks that are stranded and be as safe as possible doing it. So that has really, and vaccines are now being administered in the FSM. While the numbers are not as we had expected, but we're gradually getting up there. The percentages are growing of the number of people that are being fully vaccinated right now. So yes, it's been a lot of collaboration between the state governments, the national government, and our office here on Guam, and that's why we are very, very happy to share that as of 9 a.m. this morning. We were able to send the last flight to Pohnpei, bringing in a total of 42 FSM citizens and residents of Pohnpei.
Okay,
yeah.
Is that 42 on the second flight or in total, including both?
We sent 22 yesterday. Actually 28 because 22 FSM citizens and 6 diplomats, including the U.S. ambassador to the FSM, Carmen, Her Excellency Carmen Cantor, and her entourage, some of her entourage, and then the rest went today. So a total of 42 FSM citizens and 13 U.S. diplomats and doctors.
How many more repatriation flights are you guys looking at?
We're looking at until everybody gets home safely. For right now, because this was really a collaboration between the FSM and the U.S. government, which the U.S. Embassy in Pohnpei was very tremendously helpful in making all the arrangements. The flights, the 2 flights for yesterday and today are U.S. Coast Guard aircrafts. Provided by the U.S. government. It was a, they're calling it a humanitarian flight, but really because the U.S. diplomats really needed to get to their posts. So there were, a great collaboration, and we're here right now. And I can say this: my staff and I are breathing. We've been we've been very, very anxious about this whole thing, and we were afraid that something might go wrong and subject to FSM to its first COVID case. So it's been a hell of a 2 days.
I bet it has.
Up until the finish line, yeah.
So Teresa, are we anticipating that the United States government will be providing the flights for all of it? Because it's estimated there are about 1,000 FSM residents who are stranded outside the FSM, right?
The latest update from the FSM task force is that this would be the last humanitarian flight being coordinated with the US government from here on, beginning in June. That's the anticipation that's the expectation right now. As early as next month will be, because United hasn't stopped, servicing the FSM. They have 2 flights to Pohnpei every month, and 1 flight to Yap and Coast Rice. So we're going to utilize United Airlines. We of course will have restrictions, and who will have priority in being able to go home first on these flights. Yeah.
What does it take to get on one of these planes if you're someone who's trying to get repatriated back to the FSM?
Okay, for these 2 first flights, we prioritize medical patients that went off island for medical treatments, and some students that are no longer enrolled or have graduated from the university here. So they were the priorities on these 2 first flights. The upcoming flights would be really displaced workers, some students, because some are graduating soon, as this month. And of course, we're keeping a registry here at the office here on Guam of people that have been stranded, and those that are residents outside of the FSM but want to visit home. So we're keeping a registry here. So we're encouraging people to start registering if you haven't already. So when the flights start opening up, then you can get on. You can get on those flights to go home. Yeah.
What about negative COVID tests, vaccinations, in terms of those things? What are you requiring people before they get on the plane?
Okay. Yes, thank you for that. That's a very good point, because we do have requirements before anybody can get on one of those flights. Firstly, it's pre-quarantine, pre-departure quarantine. So these 42 people that left yesterday and today were in quarantine here on Guam 7 days prior to departure. Total lockdown. They were not allowed to leave their rooms, no outside food items or of any kind, or even visitation. So they were totally, they were locked in. 7 days prior to departure, we had them take the COVID test 72 hours before leaving. All their tests were negative, and all of them except those that are not medically able to take the vaccines were vaccinated. So those are the requirements. Vaccination, unless you're medically exempted, negative COVID-19 test results, and pre-quarantine prior to departure. And when you get in country, you're going to be subjected to another 7 days quarantine before you get to go home. Yes. That's how airtight we're trying to keep, to maintain this. Even when we locked these people into quarantine, we didn't even come in contact with them. Everything was conducted, all communication over the phone. And even when the staff were moving things, we were keeping our distance. And even the flight crew on the Coast Guard aircrafts where we were informed that they were fully vaccinated and test results negative as well. So it's pretty much as airtight as you can go. That's why a lot of
Where were the
I'm sorry?
passengers? Where were the passengers quarantined at prior to departure?
All right, we had some at Dusitani, and for those patients and students that have been at the airport hotel for this whole time during, when they were stranded, we're staying at the Guam Airport Hotel. So, and they prefer to stay there because, it's quite, it's not your regular hotel where you you're locked in, you're in a room with, you only get room service. They have kitchenette and everything. So it was okay for them, and they preferred that. So that's where we kept them. And the airport hotel was very helpful in ensuring that they, brought on additional security to make sure that everybody remains in their rooms. So it was pretty well coordinated.
Teresa, I'm curious because the FSM has done, tremendously well in terms of, keeping COVID out of the respective states. And I was just kind of wondering what type of scene are these repatriated passengers going to come back to when they land in Pohnpei? I mean, has the FSM just continued on business as usual for the last year?
Oh, there are some schools in Pohnpei that that had early graduations, so that they can keep their students at home. There are measures being taken into account or into place, in the unfortunate instance that a positive case should be found among the repatriated. So we're taking all precautionary measures as much as possible to ensure that we maintain that status. Yeah.
But I mean,
I know for sure, because
go ahead.
Come again?
Teresa. Go ahead.
I know for sure that people were just, trying to get as close to the airport as possible with their cameras. It's quite a milestone
Right.
for our people, since this whole, unfortunate pandemic. So
Of course.
Yeah.
I meant, what I meant was, how have, businesses and just people in general fared during the last year? As we couldn't go into the FSM, right? You guys barred travel, but was it kind of business as usual inside the borders?
The FSM is just like Guam. A huge part of its economy is based on tourism. So, when we start off our borders, when we close our borders, a whole chunk of that, how the economy is run was put out at a halt. It was, so it has the hotels, restaurants, local market, it's been a grave situation for everybody, and the FSM is not excluded. You know what I mean? So it's been terrible, and everybody's very, very optimistic right now with the vaccination rates that we're seeing, that things may eventually, come to some sort of normalcy.
Tell us a little bit about the vaccination effort inside the FSM that's happening right now.
The Department of Public Health in each of the 4 states have been, working diligently. We give them a lot of recognition for the tremendous work that they're doing, going out into the community, encouraging people to get vaccinated. But, as we've talked about this before, there's just a lot of hesitation, and the FSM citizens or residents, they're not immune to all of this misinformation that's going around. So, it's expected. They're not running to get vaccinated in hordes, but the numbers are gradually moving up.
What type of numbers can you share with us?
Chris, I'm sorry, I do not have that information handy right now, but I can text it to you later.
Okay.
I just need to check my email. Yeah.
Right.
But I know it has gone up. I can speak for Guam though. The FSM community started off at 5%, but we're now well over the 20% mark. So, and that's pretty good for
That's right.
Like, yeah.
So Teresa, and we have talked about this before, the local effort, right? With that vaccine hesitancy. When you talk to people who don't want to take the vaccine, when you're trying to convince them to take it, what do you tell them?
I tell them it's just like the flu shot. When you take it, it doesn't mean you're not going to get the flu. However, it's going to be, the effect is going to be minimal if you don't have the shot. So, and what I'm seeing right now is because the word was not getting out there. So with the different church groups and the different community members that we've been engaging with, being able to go out there and speak to these people, because, we relate to each other because, we're from the same place, right? And we understand each other better. So when we have somebody that speaks the language, come and say, okay, this is safe. The doctors have, authorized the approval for this to be used. Let's go take it, because this is the only way right now that the medical experts are saying that we can, get back to some, the way that we used to know life.
Right,
So that's what we're doing, and there's been a lot of engagement and involvement within the FSM community, and even the clinics like GRMC, American Medical Center. They have just been tremendous. Department of Public Health, they've been working very closely with us in trying to reach, going to the community. So it's been awesome, Chris. The assistance and the help, it's just been awesome. Yeah.
Teresa, I know that we just started the repatriation flights, but a lot of people on Guam are itching to travel. I mean, I love the FSM as a destination. Reopening the FSM, how far off are we?
Chris, one step at a time. We're gonna try to bring home those that have been stranded abroad for over a year, and then we can, and everything depends on the outside world as well. The FSM is a very tiny, very young, tiny country right now. So, we have bigger countries that are facing more, horrific situations because of COVID-19. So everything is really dependent on, how the outside world is performing. Yeah.
Teresa, I'm curious, what type of assistance, because I know we talked about there was some assistance that came down from the FSM government for those who were stranded outside of the border, but like in country, what type of assistance, whether it be financial or any relief efforts, what are those like inside the FSM?
Well, Chris, there's just been a tremendous assistance, financial and otherwise, coming from our partners and our donor countries. The U.S. has been, it's one of the FSM's enduring partners, and they've been all of this assistance that the federal government has been providing to Guam. Some of it have been provided to the FSM as well. Unemployment, procurement, funding to procure PPEs, ventilators, all types of equipment just to be ready in the instance that there's a positive case. So there has been a lot of assistance coming in, and not just from the U.S. government, but from Japan and all our partners, the FSM partners. So, we are a very grateful country that we were not, as small as we are, we were able to, work very closely with our partners, to receive the type of assistance that we have. So it has been, and that's at the more larger scheme of things. But between Guam and the FSM right now, the government has been very helpful. The governor, with our assistance, we were able to utilize Department of Transportation, to transport these people to the airport in a safe manner. Department of Public Health were able to administer the COVID-19 test and gave us the results in a very timely manner as well. So the airport, authority, it's just there, and we're all in this together. And somebody, coined this very well in the very beginning. We're not leaving anybody behind, because it's a lot of collaboration and from all over. Yeah.
Teresa, I want to just kind of go back for the last year. Can you describe for us, because we had our lockdown here on Guam, but in the FSM, was there at any time ever any stay-at-home orders? And then what are your protocols now as far as like masks and what people are able to do inside the FSM?
Yeah. At one point, I think, in the very beginning of this, they instituted curfew hours. I know YAP were sending people home at 7 p.m. and the police were, on the streets, the roads, enforcing that. masks and social distancing has already been in place, and they're practicing that. So although we've remained COVID-free, they're practicing all of these things. Keep your maintain your distance, wear your mask, sanitize as often as wash your hands as often as possible. In preparation for beginning this repatriation, and in the unfortunate case, if there's a positive in the case in the country.
Are restaurants open in the FSM for dine-in or takeout, or?
Yeah. They were closed at one point, but they've lifted some of the restrictions. Yes.
Teresa, I want to ask, have you been able, as with your role, the FSM consulate, have you been able to travel in and out of the FSM?
No, nobody's going anywhere. Even our president has been, nobody has, as much as we love to travel. No, it's, I've been here on Guam since, when was this? Since January 7th, 2020.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I can't wait to go home. I really, go visit.
Well, let me ask you that then. I mean, what's it like? I mean, you haven't just been away from home. You've been here trying to mitigate everything going on back in the FSM, and then also doing all the outreach that you've been doing with the FSM community here. What's it like having to do all those things while at the same time, like everybody else who's trying to get on these flights and go back home? I mean, I'm sure you're thinking of your home island, your family. What's that been like for you, Teresa?
Well, Chris, I've been working with a very, very great team of people. All of those things that you mentioned, they're not me. This office is not just a one-person office, or the FSM Association of Guam is just a one-person association. I've had a great team of people that we've been working together ever since day one of the pandemic, and that includes the association as well, my office staff. I cannot them enough for the tremendous, incredible work that they've been doing. And, at times I feel guilty putting them, sending them out there to continue assisting our citizens when, there's a rising pandemic and putting their lives and their health at risk. So, I'll be remiss if I don't mention that I'm just one person among all of this work. That's tremendous, incredible work that's been done. And yes, of course, I miss visiting YAP. Ever since I moved here in 2018, I was able to go visit my home island every 2 months or so. But I just haven't been able to for a while. So it's been a lot of homesick, but the work needs to keep moving. It's all about moving forward and seeing what we can do today for the better of our folks tomorrow. So it's all about that. The work, even with a pandemic, with thousands and thousands of people dying, the work needs to get done. So that's what we're doing.
Very well said, Teresa. Okay, let's wrap this now. Anybody who's watching this, repatriation flights are set to resume in June. How does one try and begin the process to get on one of these flights?
Please go ahead. If you're on Guam, register with your consulate office. We need to get your information. We need to have your name, your passport information, so that when the flight starts opening, we have an idea of who needs to get where, to which island. So please register with your consulate office here on Guam. Our telephone number is 646-9154. And we now have a website, but just search FSM Consulate General Office Guam.
There you go. Well, Teresa, thank you. It's always, I know you're so busy. You've got so many things going on. We always value any time you could give us. So appreciate it. And God bless Guam. God bless the FSM.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you as well. And the KUAM team. You guys are awesome. Talk to you later.
Okay, we'll see you, Teresa.